Welcome into my studio. Today we're going to look at a white subject, or mostly white subject. And this is a free reference photo I got hold of that I think will show us some interesting lighting effects. And with white, it's never really pure white. You may have little areas that are pure white, but for an interesting subject, you don't want everything blown out to a pure white. You want things, you know, that influence or has got colours actually in there, and that's usually seen more often than not in the shadow areas. And you can see here there's lots of rich tones and blues in the shadows, subtle blues. It all looks a little bit warm on the screen at the moment that you're seeing, but when I printed it out I adjusted it slightly to show more cool blue tones in those shadows, and I just did that in my image editor. Now I'm seeing on my Patreon art channel that a lot of people are just really rushing the initial stage, and it's a very important stage that you want to take your time on and get right, because if you don't get the initial stages right, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a moment, then that has kind of a knock-on effect as you progress and add more layers and details. And by the time you get to the end, what you've normally found is that perhaps your tonal range is massively off, your darks are not dark enough, or your lights are not light enough, or vice versa. And it's the initial stages that helps you to set that up. So let's look more in depth of how I give myself the best chance of a good start. So here I've taken that reference photo, I've blurred it with Gaussian blur in my image editor, and I show that in a few tutorials, free tutorials online, exactly how I do it. I blur it so that we don't get confused with all of the details, and also when you're using the color picker, I don't want that picking up just individual colors. We're looking at the major masses of color and tone being the lightness and the darkness. Now as you can see from this photo, there's only really one white color on there at the back of the neck. Everything else is massively different from white, but even so our eyes, our mind still works. It knows the lighting when we look at the photograph, and we know which areas of the cat is actually white. And it's not white in those areas because the colour around it, perhaps the floor, the shadow, there may be a wall there, is all influencing, it's all bouncing light and colour, especially into the shadow areas. So the main reason to drag the colours out like this is to stop our brain going on autopilot and just thinking white is white. But the other important thing is, especially for beginners and novices, but I do it myself, is we can match up colours that we've dragged out and get those initial tones in place. And it doesn't matter if we go a little bit darker than them, we can make those final adjustments as we add layers, but it's good to get a really solid, accurate start. Especially when we're talking about really light subjects like this, or really dark subjects, because if your underlayer is too light or too dark, by a long way, even though pastels are a very forgiving medium, it can then be tricky to get a pure black or pure white, as I've spoken about in numerous other videos. Now I also advise people to print out their reference photo and also print out their colour dragouts like this if you're doing that, because then it's much more easy to see the real colours rather than looking at a tablet or a screen. When tablets and screens are lit very brightly from behind, it may be possible that you can never get that colour or that tonal range anyway. So a printout really helps you to see exactly what you can get. Now for this stage to work, the printout needs to be accurate. So you need to use inks that are a decent quality. It doesn't have to be genuine inks. I don't use genuine inks myself because they're so expensive. But the important thing is you want a decent quality photo paper. You can use a glossy or matte. I generally use a matte paper. But if you're printing out on normal inkjet paper and you've got a rubbish printout that doesn't look anything like it does on screen, as you can imagine, it serves no purpose in matching colour whatsoever. So it's worth getting a decent paper. Now when you start getting a large set of pencils or soft pastels or whatever, it's good to do a colour swatch as I've shown in the image now. this is my pastel pencils. So I've got a few sets. It's probably around about 300 colours on there. Took me an hour or two to do it, and I've wrote the brand and the colour by the side. Now, as you can imagine, when I've got that printout of the colours as I just shown, I can easily put this up against my swatches and pick out the most accurate from the colours that I've actually got in my sets. And as I said, you can do this with your pans or whatever. It doesn't really matter at all. But one thing I would say is use the paper that you use most often, and I would prefer to use a mid-tone paper, and this is the Pastel Matte Dark Grey. Now, as pastels are usually extremely opaque, they cover the paper as well anyway, so it's not critical that you use a dark grey, or even if you use a different colour, the paper doesn't influence the colour as it can in some mediums, so that's not a critical thing. But my personal preference would be to put them on the paper colour you use most often. Now, once again, lots of beginners miss out this type of stage and they end up getting the colour completely wrong right at the start, or more importantly, the tone of the colour completely wrong. And you can hold the pencil up to your reference photo and look at the nib and see if that colour is accurate enough on there. But you've got to remember that virtually every, or definitely every brand, there's some colours in there that when you test the colour out on a piece of paper, it'll be very, very different to the colour you see representing it that's printed or coloured on the shaft of the pencil, and even very different to the nib of the pencil as well. So the only way to really get an accurate representation of what the colour is going to be when you use it is to either rub it on a scrap of paper, which you'll see me do quite often, and check that against the reference, or do those colour swatches. So I'd urge you, don't miss that valuable thing to spend a bit of time doing a swatch or test your pencil out on the paper. Now, for this particular video, I'm going to do the underlayer using pan pastel. So I thought I'd take a bit of time to show you how I've set that area out on my drawing board. And you can see top left, that's the pans that I've picked out of my set that's going to most accurately match the colours that I've dragged out of the reference photo. Now, with pans, they're really the most versatile of all pastels, because we can mix the colours together to get a really accurate colour match. Now, with pencils, you can't really do that, so you end up getting a lot of pencils. With soft pastels, they don't behave like that, the pastel sticks, so you can't blend them as much together to get a match colour. Now, in other videos I've shown using just pencils or using sticks, so I thought for this one I would show how I use the pans exclusively for the underlayer. So the pans are on the top left. Underneath that is just normal printer paper, and that's where you're going to see me mix the colours on. Then top right is the drawing or the reference photo with the colours dragged out. Below that, my drawing. And opposite that reference photo with the colours dragged out, I've still got a piece of paper there, pastel matte paper, that I'll test my mixes on by the side to make sure I'm really getting them quite accurate. Just wanted to quickly mention my Patreon channel for those looking for even more in-depth art instruction. It's packed full of pastel videos, oil videos as well, and those videos are being added to new ones every single month. I have videos for the complete beginner that have never done pastels or oils before, with just limited supplies, and I take you from the very first blocking in all the way through to the final detailed drawings and paintings. I've also got some really unusual subjects as well, and in all of my videos I always take you through all the details. You see everything I do, how I create my work. But it's not just for beginners, it's also for novices, and I also show the best artwork that I've ever done as well. And this particular elephant video spans 6 hours, so you know you're going to see tons and tons of details, tips and techniques. And as mentioned, I've got lots of oil videos on there too, so there really is something for everybody, and you get access to hundreds of hours worth of videos for just $4. Now over 1,000 members strong, Hope to see you there soon.